Hello and welcome back to Football Chronicles. I'm James Cross, and today we are covering a story that goes far beyond the pitch, far beyond tactics and formations, and deep into the complicated intersection of football, law, and international politics. If you are new here and you care about the real stories shaping the game, subscribe to Football Chronicles right now. We cover football the way it deserves to be covered, with depth, context, and honesty. The 2026 FIFA World Cup was supposed to be a celebration, the largest edition of the tournament ever staged, spread across 3 nations, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, with 48 teams and the promise of football reaching every corner of the globe. And yet, before a single group stage match had been played, before a single boot had struck a ball in competition, the tournament was already in crisis. Not a crisis of organization or scheduling, a crisis of identity. A crisis that asks a question this sport has never had to answer quite so directly. Who actually controls the World Cup? To understand what has happened, you need to start with Thomas Partey. 32 years old, 57 caps for Ghana, 5 seasons in the Premier League with Arsenal, one of the most respected and experienced midfielders in African football. He arrived in Rhode Island with the Ghana squad. He trained. He prepared. He did everything you would expect a World Cup player to do in the days leading up to the biggest tournament on earth. Then, Canada sent him home. Ghana were scheduled to open their Group L campaign against Panama in Toronto on the 17th of June. Partey, named vice-captain for the tournament, was expected to anchor their midfield. He will not be there. FIFA confirmed it formally, and the language they chose was deliberate and revealing. The governing body stated clearly that it is not involved in the immigration processes of host countries, and that the host government ultimately determines who receives a visa and who is admitted. Not involved. The organization that runs world football, that chose these host nations, that signed the contracts and accepted the guarantees, publicly distancing itself from the consequences of its own decisions. We will come back to that in a moment because it matters enormously. But first, you need to understand why Canada made this decision and why it has divided football supporters around the world so sharply. In July of 2025, the London Metropolitan Police charged Thomas Partey with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. Earlier in 2026, 2 further rape charges were added. He now faces 7 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. His trial, originally scheduled for November at Southwark Crown Court, has been pushed back and is now set to begin in June 2027. Thomas Partey has pleaded not guilty to every single charge. Under British law, under the laws of every democratic country, he is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. Ghana coach Carlos Queiroz made his position on this absolutely clear when he selected Partey for the squad. Asked directly whether the charges would affect his selection decision, Queiroz was steady and deliberate. A man of enormous experience, 5 World Cups as a manager, having led Portugal and Iran in previous editions, he is not someone who speaks without thinking. He said the matter was not for football to judge, that the river should flow, and when it meets the ocean, the truth will emerge. It was a considered, principled defense of a legal reality that every justice system in the civilized world is built upon. A charge is not a conviction. The Ghana Football Association backed their player completely. Their communications director confirmed that the federation has stood with Partey shoulder to shoulder throughout, and that they believe in what his legal team has told them. And yet, Canada saw the situation differently. Canadian Immigration Minister Lena Diab stated that hosting a major event does not change Canada's immigration laws. Every person seeking entry is assessed individually. And crucially, Canadian immigration law allows for foreign nationals to be found inadmissible even without a conviction, when there are reasonable grounds to believe certain offenses have been committed. That is the legal framework. Canada applied its standard rules. The World Cup did not create an exception. The contrast with the United States is striking and important, and it tells you everything about the complexity of what FIFA signed up for when it chose 3 sovereign nations as co-hosts. On the same day Canada refused Partey entry, U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed that their officers had admitted him on the 3rd of June. Their reasoning was direct. He has not been convicted of a crime. American law focuses on conviction. Canadian law does not require one. Same player, same charges, different border, completely different outcome. So Thomas Partey will travel with Ghana to Toronto and remain behind while his teammates cross into Canada. He will watch the Panama match from a distance. But Ghana also face England on the 23rd of June in Massachusetts and Croatia on the 27th in Philadelphia. Both matches are on American soil, where he is eligible to play. His World Cup is not finished, but it has already been defined by something that has nothing to do with football. And he is not alone. If you are finding this documentary compelling, take a moment right now to like the video and subscribe to Football Chronicles. There is so much more story still to tell. Achraf Hakimi, one of the finest right-backs on the planet, a key pillar of Paris Saint-Germain and Morocco's Atlas Lions. In February 2023, a woman alleged that Hakimi had assaulted her at his home in Paris. He was charged with rape in March of that year and has denied all wrongdoing. His legal team has argued the case rests entirely on the word of the complainant, who allegedly refused medical examinations, DNA testing, and phone analysis. French prosecutors have confirmed a trial date has been set. The investigating magistrate has ordered him to stand trial. When that decision came through, Hakimi addressed it publicly. He wrote that a rape accusation had been deemed sufficient to justify a trial, even when contested, and that such an accusation was as unjust to an innocent man as it was to the genuine victims of such crimes. He said he awaited the process calmly, trusting that the trial would allow the truth to emerge. Like Partey, he has not been convicted. Like Partey, he is denied everything. And like Partey, he is at this World Cup representing his nation on the grandest stage in football, while the most serious of allegations hangs over every match he plays. What these two situations reveal together is something that football has always struggled to navigate cleanly. A federation owes duties to its players, including the presumption of innocence. A governing body carries responsibility to the billions of people who watch and follow this sport. A host country has every right to apply its own laws regardless of any sporting event. And the women who made these allegations have their own claim on this story, a claim that is rarely placed at the center of the conversation when the football world begins debating selection decisions and sporting fairness. These are not competing obligations that can be ranked and resolved. They are simultaneous, and the 2026 World Cup has placed all of them in direct collision. But the story does not end with Partey and Hakimi, because this tournament has produced a pattern in just 2 days that demands a much larger question be asked. Thomas Partey denied entry to Canada. Another player, Omar Artan, denied entry to the United States. Senegalese and Ivorian fans refused visas. Iranian officials blocked from attending. The Iraqi team's photographer detained and deported. A tournament advertised to the world as the most inclusive in the history of the game, processing people at its borders and finding them wanting, for reasons ranging from criminal charges, to nationality, to contested intelligence files, to simply holding the wrong passport. And FIFA's response to all of it? We are not involved in immigration processes. Someone chose these hosts. Someone accepted the terms. Someone signed the contracts. These visa systems and immigration laws existed long before a single bid document was submitted. The consequences were entirely predictable. And now, at the moment those consequences arrive, the governing body's official position is that it simply has no role to play. That is the most revealing thing FIFA has said throughout this entire crisis, not because it is dishonest. Technically, they are correct, but because it exposes the fundamental contradiction at the heart of how this tournament was constructed. You cannot claim credit for building the biggest, most ambitious, most globally connected World Cup in history and then absolve yourself of responsibility when the architecture you built produces results like these. Carlos Queiroz said to trust the river, to let it flow and believe that when it meets the ocean, the truth will find its way. The river is flowing, and right now it is carrying an extraordinary amount of turbulence with it. Ghana will face Panama without their vice-captain. Morocco will take the field with Hakimi wearing the red and green. The football will be played, the goals will be scored, and the tournament will move forward. But Day 2 of the 2026 World Cup has confirmed what Day 1 only hinted at. This competition is carrying the weight of the world on its shoulders. Every contradiction, every unresolved tension, every unanswered question about who football truly belongs to and who is allowed to be part of it. The game's biggest stage is only just beginning, and the stories being written outside the stadium lines may prove more enduring than anything that happens inside them. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to Football Chronicles, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next football documentary. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.